All right, I want to take you back to Chicago and the police shooting there that has left a grandmother and a college student dead. You just heard at the news conference today loved ones of the victims expressing their anger, their frustration, but also sympathy, and not just for the family members. Listen to Jahmal Cole. He is the nephew of Betty Jones. She is the woman police officers admit was shot to death accidentally by one of their own officers just yesterday.
My wife's aunt, Betty Jones, was shot and killed by a Chicago police officer on the morning after Christmas. And while I'm tempted to feel hate for all Chicago police officers right now, I know this is a difficult time we got to get past in our city. I think we got to show the police officers and the family a lot of compassion. This is not the time for hatred in our city. It's not the time for violence.
Jahmal Cole joins me now from Chicago. First of all, my condolences for your loss, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
I want to talk more about your plea for compassion in just a minute, but first, I mean, you knew her. She is your wife's aunt,
yes.
Betty Jones, 55 years old.
Yes.
I know that she loved her church. Tell us a little bit more about who she was.
Well, she was a Chicagoan, a person that loved people on her block, a person that loved people in her neighborhood and loved her family. And it was tragic what happened to Betty, and we are here today to express our agony and express our concern for what happened last night.
I know that you were not there when the shooting happened, and there are still many questions, right? We don't have any of the potential dash camera video or body camera video. What do you know about what happened?
Well, from my understanding, and I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to speak as her attorney, but from my understanding, she was shot through the door, and she was shot 3 times by Chicago police officers, and I think that you know, they used deadly force in a situation where it was not called for, and I think that there needs to be some swift justice. We want immediate solutions. We don't want the situation to play out for a year, and I think that there needs to be justice in this situation.
But don't you want you know, I can't understand the shoes you're standing in right now. I can't. And I know you're asking for swift justice. You do not want justice delayed. But also, do you want to give this the time for a proper investigation?
Well, yes, I actually do. Again, I'm not an attorney, but what I think is we need to show compassion towards not only the family, you know, not only us, but I think we need to show compassion towards police officers. I think the peace starts with us. The peace starts with me, and the peace starts with the officers that first showed up on that scene. So I think everybody's going to be impacted by this situation, and we need to use this as an opportunity to get better as a city. It's not a time right now for hate. It's not a time for swift decisions. This is a time for compassion towards the suffering of people that live in West Garfield Park, and compassion towards people that live in the Loop.
And that really struck me when you said that in the press conference, compassion for the family, the loved ones, but also for police officers. I mean, this is your community. You started this organization, My Block, My Hood, My City. What does that compassion look like as you and your peers there in Chicago try to rebuild the relationship with the Chicago Police Department?
Well, the first officer that showed up on the scene last night is a good friend of mine. I won't put his name on blast, but I do know him. And so he's an activist in the community and a person that's done a lot of great things in Chicago. And I think that, and not taking away from the injustice that happened last night, but I do think that we need to look at who these officers are. Having a badge can amplify your true character. If you're a good person, having a badge you're gonna continue to do good. If you're a bad person, then having a badge is gonna amplify your wickedness. But I do know, and I do know the first officer that showed up on the scene last night, he is a person that I've done a lot of community work with. So it's a tough position to be in, but I do think that all life is interconnected, like Dr. Martin Luther King said, and right now the only thing we're gonna be able to do is is express our agony and express our concern, but use it as a teaching moment for CPD, and also and not depend on manna to fall from the sky, a big city government. What can we do in a community? Do we know our neighbors? Have we joined our block club associations? What can we do to protect our streets? And that's what My Block, My Hood, My City is about.